G'day again, my name's Paul Morrison. It's my privilege to be hosting these sessions in conjunction with Creative Communities called Stronger Together. We're joined by different professionals in our community and we're asking them things we can learn from their experiences to help us through. We're joined today by AFL Premiership physiotherapist Steve Gravina. G'day Steve.
G'day Myron, how are you mate?
Good mate, thanks for joining us. Just tell us a little bit about what you do in elite sport and your passion for people's wellbeing.
Yeah, so I've been working as a physiotherapist at the West Coast Eagles into my 7th year now. I'm currently involved full-time down there. We have a high-performance team which are involved in the preparation of the players, trying to manage and mitigate injury risk with those guys, and then have to patch up the guys that go down. Unfortunately, in a combative game like AFL footy, there are casualties, and it's our job to try and get them back onto the park as quick as we can and help the team achieve the success that they want to.
Now, fair to say one of your passions is people's well-beings. In this time of stress, what are some things, basic things people can put in place to cope?
Yeah, it's a really difficult time at the moment. People have been thrust into home life, which throws out all sorts of routines. Getting back to the basics of what you can control is something that you can really make a difference with. So sleep's a real pillar of an area that can maintain and improve your wellness, your overall health, and reduce your risk of high stress. Exercise is such an important part of everyone's life, a real passion of mine obviously, but exercise is something which you can help yourself by taking it upon yourself to achieve 20, 30, 40 minutes of exercise every day. Put it into your calendar, get it done, do it with a partner or a loved one at home in these difficult times, and it can make a huge difference. And the last one is what you put into your body, so nutrition. Nutrition is one of your first ports of call for improving your health, fighting off the risk of disease and virus potentially. And controlling your nutrition in a difficult time of high stress is another really important factor.
So sleep, exercise and diet, fair to say if I was to think of the last few weeks, I think I've dropped off in all those areas. Do you think we should, take a check and obviously put a bit of a plan in place? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, routines are hard to break. If you've been in a good routine and all of a sudden now you're thrust into a home environment which puts you out of that routine, it can be really difficult to find a level of control that you can get on top of these things. But if you can just start to put a bit of a plan in place, and whether it's with your family or just on your own, start to schedule in when you're going to do your exercise, how many hours of sleep you need. So put an alarm clock for when it's time to go to bed, minimise your screen time leading into that sleep period, and get on top of your nutrition as you normally would. That'd be a really good starting point.
One of the other things people obviously coping with is changing their work environment, working from home. How can that kind of dramatic change have a negative impact on people's physical well-being?
Yeah, well, as you said, routine's a big one. And if you're used to having your 9 to 5 office job and all of a sudden you're at home and you're starting work at 7 and then you're getting interrupted by the kids or the family, it's hard to be as efficient and effective as you normally would be. So setting the same parameters as you normally would while you're at work, for how many hours you're going to work in solitary confinement in your office space, if you've got one, then have your break. And in those breaks, it's really important to be as active as possible. And mitigate the effects of being sedentary and sitting down. Standing, sitting office stations are really good. So grab a milk crate, grab whatever you can to put on top of the desk and spend some time standing. And little movement breaks throughout the day can be really effective. And on top of that, as we said, the nutrition aspect as well. Try and maintain what you deem as a healthy eating habit.
Tough with the fridge in your office, isn't it?
Yeah, bloody oath. And I mean, try and avoid using that little caveat of being bored to go for a little fridge check and check what's in the cupboard, and try and be really strong and regimented with when you're going to have your meals and minimise the snacking on the bad stuff.
Now you have also, you got some basic routines we can put in place. I know you talk about 4 pillars. You want to talk us through them?
Yeah. The 4 pillars that I've used over the past sort of 10 or so years, it was from a strength coach out of the US, Dan John. So he basically talks about eat, sleep, pray and play. And staying on top of those 4 pillars allows you to get on top of stress, your overall wellness, and allows you to build forward in life in general. So the eating components we've talked about, maintaining nutrition, good, wholesome foods, a lot of plant-based stuff, get your protein in, hydration, really important, and avoid the processed foods. Sleeping, as we've talked about, a really important sleep routine is vital. Minimising screen time before you go to bed, a cool, dry environment when you're going to sleep. Don't bring your screens or your phone into your room, or even switch it onto airplane mode if possible. And trying to get your 7.5 to 8 hours. It's individual with what everyone needs, but that's sort of the general guidelines for everyone there. And trying to get that routinely is really good. And try not to get into habits of sleeping in one day, getting up early the next. Try and get up the same time all the time. So that's a really important one. So we've done eat, we've done sleep, play. Play is the exercise component. As we've said, it's really difficult if your routine's been changed. You're used to going to the gym or going to the park, and we may not be able to do that at the moment. So trying to work out ways at home of how you can do it. Is it the backyard? Is it cleaning out the shed? Is it doing something in a lounge room? There's so many really good resources that have just come out recently about being able to exercise in your own home. You don't need equipment. You just need a bit of space and a bit of discipline and a bit of work ethic, and you can get that done. And the last one is pray, and that's not necessarily the religious component, but it's more just about the spirituality of being connected with your community. It's being on top of your psychological parameters in terms of reaching out, being a loving person for your family, for your friends, for your community. You might not be able to physically get in touch with them, but you can still stay in touch with a number of different means. So those 4 pillars are something I try and live by and try and encourage people to do so as well.
Yeah, well, I've covered a lot there. If you land all that in one Stronger Together tip, what would your advice to the community be?
Control those pillars. Okay, so eat, sleep, pray and play. If you can stay on top of those really important pillars, control that aspect of your life, that'll help reflect that onto other people. And then hopefully you can be able to get through this difficult time and we'll all be able to fight through this together.
Some great practical advice. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Great to have you with us. And you can find out more of these conversations from Stronger Together. Check them out on the Creating Communities platform in your community. We'd love you to join us again. And until then, stay safe, look after each other, stay fit and healthy, as Steve has said. And remember to follow the government's advice around looking after yourself and your loved ones throughout COVID-19. We are Stronger Together.